This video was made for viewers like you. Enjoy the video and keep gaming alive. Solo board gaming night here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Dragon Eclipse, the board game. As always, I want to give you an overhead view of the table so you get an idea of just how much space the game takes up. Now, what you see here is a game that takes up a lot of table space. However, technically, there's a way that you could do it so that much less space is taken up than what you see here. But I'm going to get into that later on in the review. For now, just know that depending on how you decide to play the game is going to determine how much space the game takes up on the table. Usually, this is the point where I talk about what's in the box, but there's just so much in this box and the game's been around for such a long time now that I'm going to just get into the basics on how the game is played. I'm going to purposely be very vague about how the adventure portion of the game works. That's mainly because the rulebook does a really good job teaching you how to do it, and as you start playing, it's very self-explanatory and easy to learn, and I'm trying to avoid spoilers here. I will be focusing, however, on the combat portion of this game. Now, depending which arena you're in and which arena card is drawn is going to determine what's going to be placed on the arena and the abilities that the mistlings will have. Sometimes during the adventure portion, you'll gain a token and place it in front of you. What that does will be also explained during the setup. You're going to have a lane of combat cards that belong to you that are going to determine the types of actions and abilities you'll be able to take. Before your turn, you're able to spend power tokens to be able to do bonus actions. Now, when you choose a card, depending on how far along it is in the lane, is going to determine how many power tokens you gain. And then you basically just resolve the card and do what it says. Some cards have a cost that you could pay to be able to do something else with it, but the card lets you know how to do that. Once you're done, just place it on your discard. At this point, you're able to do another bonus action, but you can never repeat the same bonus action twice on your turn. Then you slide all of the cards to the right and draw cards until you fill up the entire lane once again. On the enemy's turn, you're going to go ahead and draw the top card of their deck and place it on the lane. Once you do that, you just match the symbol and resolve whatever that symbol tells you to do on the actual arena itself. Just like the regular mistlings, all their information like attack and movement is on the card. After the enemy attacks, if there's a card wherever the token is on their track, their special ability is going to be able to resolve. Once you resolve their special ability, you go ahead and discard all the cards on the track and place it on the discard pile. Whenever the boss deck is empty, you're going to gain yourself a fatigue. Those fatigues clog up your actual lane and cause a lot of problems, but sometimes there's no avoiding it. Whether you win, lose, or tame the mistling, the actual combat arena card tells you where to go to continue the adventure. And that's just the basics on how to play Dragon Eclipse. Now, on to the review. To keep spoilers to a minimum, the footage used for this video takes place within the first two scenarios. Also, I kind of did not want to reset my game, so the examples shown here were recreated to serve as a visual example for your viewing pleasure. Viewer discretion is advised. Just kidding. Moving on. I'm going to address the elephant in the room when it comes to the art. AI was used to help create the art within Dragon Eclipse. To what extent, I'm really not sure, but I do know that AI was used. Personally, although I don't mind using AI when it comes to using it as a tool to search for information, for example, I'm not a fan of AI in general. I prefer that things, especially like art, be made by actual artists. With that said, Dragon Eclipse does look nice. Its art is bright, colorful, and it does fit the game world very well. I just wish AI wasn't used, but I mean, it is what it is. At least what is here looks good, and I can't lie about that. The maps and the cards contain some pretty awesome looking art, and the creatures known in the game as mistlings are really fun to look at, and I look forward to every encounter I would have with them. The theme is spot on. It really does feel like I'm exploring Kerberg and all the lands contained within the Dragon Eclipse world. From adventuring to exploring and from combat to taming these mythical creatures, the theme truly shined in everything I did. There is a lot of content here. You'll definitely be getting your money's worth. Of course, there is the solo campaign, but there also is a PvP and a roguelike mode that gives you a shorter, more combat-focused experience. Now, I've only played the main campaign, but I could absolutely see myself diving into the roguelike mode, and pretty much I would really like to play the PvP mode with my son one day. Not now, but I really do want to get that done. All in all, Dragon Eclipse is filled to the brim with content. Even if you only play the campaign, you're good to go here. I got the all-in, so I actually want to play the expansion before I jump into any other mode, but that's just me personally. There was a stretch goal called the Perilous Seas, and that was integrated into the main campaign. But the other expansion that's called Foray into the Shadow Realm is an expansion that does require you to finish the campaign before playing. Oh yeah, then I almost forgot. There's also the Mistling Encyclopedia, which is basically this game's version of the Pokédex. So that really does make Dragon Eclipse feel content rich, in my opinion. Depending on what you're looking for, the scenario length may make it or break it for you. Personally, I wasn't expecting an exploration-filled adventure type game. When I backed Dragon Eclipse, it called my attention when it came to the combat, but I wanted the game to be a surprise to me, so I didn't look into it any further. I had no idea once I got my hands on the game that Dragon Eclipse was going to be a point-and-click adventure type of game as well. I love old-school point-and-click adventures like Escape from Monkey Island. I've talked about this in my review of Roleplayer Adventures, and Dragon Eclipse pretty much made me feel exactly the same way. If you enjoy games like Sam and Max and Grim Fandango, you will adore this aspect of Dragon Eclipse. With all that said, each scenario does take a long time to play. You're looking at about 3 hours or so. I can leave a game set up on my table, so it doesn't really bother me at all, to be quite honest. As a matter of fact, I kind of embraced and loved the adventure portion of Dragon Eclipse. However, I do need to warn you about the length of the scenarios, especially if it's difficult for you to be able to play 3 hours straight without the need to tear down the game. Or even worse, if time constraints really don't allow you to play a game for extended periods of time. Now, I've already briefly spoken about the point-and-click portion of Dragon Eclipse, but I just want to emphasize how much I enjoyed it. The game does implement a time restraint system mechanic that ensures that you feel the pressure of the task at hand when the narrative calls for it. Even when you're given more time to explore, you still have to choose what to focus your time on and what to ignore. It's a nice balance that keeps you moving forward while giving you the weight that your choices are meant to give you. It does feel like your choices matter when deciding what to focus on, and I really do appreciate that. Then there's the combat. Each battlefield has its quirks, and each arena card adds plenty of variety to the arena and the Mistlings effects as well. The card play, while easy to grasp, does give you plenty of choices. That's not even including which cards you could choose from prior to the scenario. You get a lot of choices when it comes to the card play. I especially enjoy the power aspect of combat. The further down the card is on the track, the more power you obtain when you choose to use that card. That power can then be used for bonus actions, other abilities on cards, and most importantly, they allow you to actually unleash your Mistling's true power, which is really awesome. These devastating attacks can really turn the tides of battle. Also, these battles can get really tough. Thankfully, you could tame the enemy Mistlings and have them ready to fight for you instead. Now, that's not easy to do either, but it is satisfying to pull off, and then adding the Mistling to your party for future scenario use is so addicting. The enemy AI is very well done, and it does a phenomenal job of making the Mistling you're fighting against feel unique and powerful. Not only that, but the enemy Mistling is able to unleash its own power and devastate your Mistling too. It's a push and pull. It's really kind of cool. Sometimes you have no choice but to defeat the enemy Mistling. However, there are times when you're given the chance to tame one, and every time I got the chance to do so, I always did. It is so satisfying to tame Mistlings and add them to your Mistling Encyclopedia, which is basically the Pokedex for all you Pokemon fans out there. If you couldn't tell, I love the gameplay within Dragon Eclipse. So much to do and so many choices to make. The gameplay in Dragon Eclipse is varied and it really shined. A hugely enjoyable romp. It constantly had me thinking about which Mistlings with which element and abilities I would find next. Although I never got into the Pokemon craze, I can completely understand how addicting collecting them all can be. I do have to let you know about the table space needed to play Dragon Eclipse. Now technically, you really just need the adventure book and map, but realistically, you're going to constantly be adding combat arenas, cards, and Mistlings to the table. In order to do that in a way that is comfortable, you'll need everything contained within the box close by. I just found it easier to have everything out and ready to go. It helps with setting up everything the game asks for without having to dig through the box, making the experience much smoother. That, however, took up a lot of table space for me. If you can keep the game set up on the table, you're going to have a much more enjoyable experience. If you don't mind having to constantly return to the box for components, then ignore what I'm saying right now. I just wanted to let you know that I enjoyed having everything laid out on the table rather than constantly searching the box for components, and in my experience that took up a lot of table space. But your mileage may vary, and your preference on how you want to play the game is going to determine how you feel about that. I do want to take this opportunity to mention a very small but incredibly annoying nitpick I have with this game, and that comes from the damage tokens. They're way too small, and I recommend just using life dials like the ones from Marvel Champions. So to summarize, the art, although being AI generated, did look really good and colorful. The theme really did blend well with what I was doing in the game. There is a ton of content here, even if you only ever just play the campaign mode. Dragon Eclipse is jam-packed with content. The scenarios are long and you'll need at least 3 hours to be able to make it through each scenario. Be ready for a huge time commitment. Whether you're exploring in combat or taming creatures, you're going to love the gameplay here. The deck building is fun, the choices feel like there's urgency in them, and the card play, while simple, offers plenty of variety and fun. I literally dreamt about this game after playing it. Be warned, although you technically don't need too much space on the table to play, you're constantly going to be seeking components to add to the table. It's best just to have everything laid out on the table, and that's going to take a lot of table space. Final little nitpick are the actual damage tokens. Do yourself a favor and get some life dials instead. You'll thank me later. My final verdict for Dragon Eclipse is an amazing 9 out of 10. Dragon Eclipse truly does give you the desire to catch them all, and once it has its hooks in you, it'll be all you'll be thinking about. Although I don't think this game will be for everyone, if what you saw here piqued your interest, then this game was absolutely made for you. What a great adventure! Now, this review may have been a long time in the making, but I really had a good time making this video and playing the game too. It was really that good. I want to take this moment to say thank you for taking the time out of your day to spend time with me. This was Solo Board Gaming Night. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you and everyone else has a great game night. Take care, Solo Knights.